On today's show, the Capitals win a wild one against the Kraken and Andrew Cristall's new historic milestone.
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, hello and welcome into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Dan Holme. I've covered the Capitals for the last 3 seasons for Locked On and various other outlets before that. I'm also the host of the weekly show called The Capitals Minutecast, available wherever you find your podcasts. So in this edition of Locked On Capitals, we talk about Andrew Cristall as being the first in the WHL to 400 points in the 21st century. A historic career already, and he has not even made it to the NHL. What lies ahead for Andrew Cristall? I'll talk about that. A bit later, I'll talk about Aliaksei Protas and his breakout season. If you take a look just a couple years ago, he was the guy that kind of had to eke his way into camp and exceeded expectations and has grown by leaps and bounds under the tutelage of Spencer Carbery. It's surprising what happens if someone has some faith, some confidence in you, and if you can play some really great hockey. What's the latest with Protas? I'll talk about that. But just to get it going here, wow, what a game against the Kraken. Is there a new rivalry out there? I think there is a new rivalry out there against a team that the Capitals don't play all too often, usually twice a year. But it was a physical game to be sure. And the Capitals, they found a way to walk away victorious. And as we take a look at this game, it was one of those games a lot like we've seen from the Caps here before. I'm talking about the Red Wings game in particular, where the Capitals have to battle back, where they struggle in the first period. Well, that was a bit the same way in this game against the Kraken, where the first period was rough for the Capitals. The start of the second period was good for the Capitals. The end of the second period, not so good. And then the third period is when it was just all go. Both teams, a physicality that ensued out on the ice was something that I have not seen in quite some time. Both penalty boxes jam-packed. Duhaime, Wilson, Carlson. Like I say, it's interesting that these two teams don't play each other too often, but wow, the fireworks and the physicality out on the ice was something to behold. So let's dive into that, the Caps' most recent game here before they head out west. And today's episode, we're talking about that big win, a 4-2 victory over the Kraken that not only boosted our morale, but also marked a significant milestone for this team. And we got a good chance to get a look at Anthony Beauvillier. In all things considered, didn't show up too much on the score sheet. Got in some hits, a shot on goal, I do believe, but I'm not thinking about that too much. It was his first game with new systems and all that kind of thing, but still exciting. And it just, what we've seen from the Capitals here as of late makes you understand why they didn't go out and try to shake things up so much, as what they have out on the ice right now is truly special. But can you believe it? The Capitals have officially surpassed last season's points total, now sitting at 92 points with a record of 42, 14, and 8. And there's still some hockey left to play. So, the Capitals firing on all cylinders in this matinee action against the Kraken, and a team, the Seattle Kraken, that aren't having this season that they're looking for. And Seattle is a bit of an interesting case, as I think that they were, in their mind, I think that Seattle Kraken, the players, I think the fans thought it was going to be the Golden Knights 2.0. Like, look at all the success the Golden Knights had. The success has not come as easy for the Seattle Kraken. And one of the things I think they lack is, true star power. I'm talking about an Ovechkin, a Crosby, something of like that. I know they have Shane Wright, which is a first-round pick, but I think you understand what I'm saying here is that they don't have that real difference maker yet. I don't think that there is a big, bright, shining star that is putting butts in seats for Seattle. But in any event, the Capitals showed up to play at Cap One before they had make their way out west. And one of the key contributors was Connor McMichael kind of hanging out up front with a deflection. Connor McMichael was absolutely on fire on Sunday, netting the game-winning goal and solidifying his place as a crucial player on the Capitals. I think that was already apparent, but I think he has just really solidified his place on this team. The second line, it's just been a perfect handshake. I'm talking Pierre-Luc Dubois, Connor McMichael. We've seen Protas and Wilson there on the second line, but absolutely a game changer. And I think a lot of the credit goes to Pierre-Luc Dubois for the success that Connor McMichael has had. I think that Connor in and of himself has grown. His game has gotten better. His confidence is there. And ultimately turning into the player that I think a lot of us knew that he was. But his 23rd goal of the season, and it was at a pivotal moment, a game changer, thanks to an assist from John Carlson. And let's not forget, this game also marked his 100th career point in the NHL. What a moment. This game was full of a lot of fun moments. And the fights in the penalty box. I captured a lot of this on video because it's something I wanted to watch back and look back on. These games that just kind of go totally off the rails are some of the most exciting games. So it had all the key things that I'm looking for in a game: physicality, great goal scoring, some pushback, almost the makings of a moment. And Alex Ovechkin continues to break records. We take a look at Ovechkin, who continues to knock down records left and right. His empty netter not only brings him to 886, but also places him as the 11th player in the NHL history to hit 1,600 career points, all while having the highest goal count at that milestone. This is what I've talked about with Alex Ovechkin. It's the Gretzky thing, of course, but it's everything that's getting knocked down between here and there. Talk about the legendary status of the Great Eight on display, getting an empty netter, a bit of the bane of his existence, but it was quite a skilled empty netter. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look at the replay, kind of just behind. It took some skill. Usually when you take a look at empty netters, they're kind of just a layup. Not the case. It required a little bit of finesse. And Charlie Lindgren, to give credit where credit is due, was an absolute game changer, and proving Chris Patrick and the Capitals organization as genius, what they've been able to accomplish just in the netminding department alone. You take a look at Logan Thompson, locked up long term. You take a look at Charlie Lindgren here for the next 3 seasons, that there is stability. And Charlie Lindgren, I think, is playing with confidence. He doesn't have that whole contract worry in the back of his mind, like, am I here? Am I there? Am I going to be gone in the summer? He's playing confidently. And Charlie Lindgren was phenomenal, turning aside 29 of 31 shots. His impressive play was key in keeping the Kraken at bay, especially during those tense moments early in the game when the momentum was definitely in the Kraken's favor. The Kraken were greatly outshooting the Capitals, especially in the first period alone, that if it was not for Chucky being huge, well, the game could have gotten sideways in a hurry. But just when we thought the offense was struggling, they found their groove, and it was a fun game to watch. Strome and Fehervary make their mark in this game. And, Strome, if you're an everydayer on the show, has been one of the key ingredients, that first line center that has been so huge for the Capitals, that there was that vacuum in Nick Backstrom's absence. Who is going to be the center that is going to play on that first line with Alex Ovechkin? Strome, huge. And Fehervary, who isn't a guy, a defenseman that has the most offensive flair, has been kicking in offensively here as of late. But Dylan Strome made his mark, scoring his 19th goal during his 500th career game and extending his point streak to 4 games. Dylan Strome, if you're not aware, the guy that was kind of put on the scrap heap by the Blackhawks, turns out to be just a masterful move by former GM Brian McClellan. He's really been shining lately with 17 points in the last 15 games. And what got this all going for the Capitals was for Martin Fehervary, and kind of an unsuspecting source here, achieved his 4th goal of the season, setting a career high in points for a single season. Quite a turnaround for him. A guy that doesn't necessarily have the physical flair of a Chikrin or a Carlson. We have seen that as of late. And there's a lot to like about Marty Fehervary. A great defender, a guy that is, more than willing to be physical, to hit, to drop the mitts if he needs to. Quite a dynamic player, and why the blue line has been so successful. But physicality set the tone in this game. And I want you to kind of underline this and make a mental observation that in the last few games, let's say up to a handful of games, Tom Wilson has been engaged physically, a bull in the china shop. I don't know if there's been a new mandate for Tom Wilson to up his physical game, but that has been apparent that Wilson has been on fire, just smashing people into the boards, getting in fights. We saw the fight against the Kraken. We saw a fight a couple games before that, and that has been a momentum changer. Turning the tide in a lot of these games where it seemed like the Capitals were a little flat, a little milquetoast, a little lackadaisical out there, that Tom Wilson and Duhaime, too, he goes in that category as well, have been momentum changers. Physicality, fighting still does have a place in the NHL, and there was plenty of that in this game. Tom Wilson brought the energy with 6 hits and really set the tone for the Caps with a line brawl against Josh Mahara in the third period. And what I observed in that is he was holding on to Tom Wilson's stick and did not want to let go of it. Do you know who you're messing with? I mean, to a certain extent, to have none of these guys taken a really hard punch to the face to know what it's all about, I think that you picked, I know it's a David and Goliath to get biblical situation here, that the little guy's taken on Tom Wilson. And to be clear here, I'm not sure the height and weight of the guy that he was fighting, but Tom Wilson is a tough customer, suffices to say. And I think that you better pack a lunch and eat your Wheaties before you take on a guy like Tom Wilson. But that type of physicality is exactly what we need to maintain momentum. Again, I don't know if there's been a mandate change or Tom Wilson just noticing that this team is falling a little flat. I need to bring it. Same goes with Duhaime. They have been difference makers in a lot of ways. What got the Capitals into the win column? Had it not been for Wilson or Duhaime or these other guys, I think there wasn't someone to kind of just put the jumper cables on it. Just let's go, boys. That is definitely what is the case. Now, overall, this victory is a testament to the Capitals' resilience in teamwork. Again, not some of the hallmarks of this team in previous years, but has been quite evident this year for a lion's share of the season. So a lot to be excited about as Capitals fans. It's another bounce back win against a not so great Seattle Kraken team, but a team that put up a bigger fight, I think, than a lot of us had expected. All things considered, walking away from this as the Capitals hop on a plane and head out west, they should be riding high and feeling good about where this team is at. All right, so coming up here after the break, we'll talk about Aliaksei Protas and his breakout season. He is setting the team ablaze, accomplishing a lot of things that I didn't really see coming from Aliaksei Protas before this season. If you take a look at the back of his hockey card, you may have had the same ideas. I'll discuss straight ahead. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to snack. And if you love cracking open every shell for you, that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. So get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can find me over on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show on Twitter. It's at Locked On Caps. So in this segment here, we're talking about the man himself, Aliaksei Protas, whose game has grown by leaps and bounds this season. And some people say, well, what's the change? He's been on this team for a while, and if you take a look at his statistics, they're not that glowing. He's got that big hulking frame, but not necessarily a fighter. And what has been the keys to his success? Confidence is the biggest difference. And some people say confidence. That sounds a bit simple, Dan. We saw this with Mantha. We saw this with Ovechkin to start last season, that it's confidence, and it's having internal confidence, smiling from the inside, as they say, and also the confidence of your head coach, who really pumps the tires of Aliaksei Protas. And what have the Capitals seen? They have seen great play from Aliaksei that we have not seen, well, pretty much since his time on the team. So Aliaksei Protas, who has quickly become a crucial player for the Caps, that is for sure. He recently snagged sole possession of second place in team scoring, thanks to a fantastic assist during the game against the Seattle Kraken, and putting himself in a good position, whether he's scoring goals or assisting on them. A game changer. And a lot of for Aliaksei Protas is, skating and shooting, but a lot of it is just kind of posting up in front of the net, hoping to get a deflection, something of that nature. He's a big dude. You're not going to be able to push him around too easily. Now, that assist that we saw marked his 30th of the season, pushing his overall points tally to an impressive 55. Not too bad. And key contributions in the games here as of late. In the previous game, Protas played a key role in that 5-2 comeback against the Red Wings, racking up 3 points with 2 goals and 1 assist. Who is this guy? And where did he come from? Well, what I've heard is that Aliaksei and Ilya, his younger brother, last summer worked on shooting together, shooting the puck. And it sounds something simple that two pro hockey players, or Alexei's pro and his brother's a prospect in the Capitals organization, that they get back to the basics of shooting the puck in the summertime. And I'm not going to question his thoughts, because look at what it has meant for the Capitals, and look how well it's paid off for his brother Ilya as well. Now, over the last 19 games is where he's really come to shine. At 24 years old, he has really taken his game to the next level, accumulating 19 points with 7 goals and 12 assists. And like I say, a lot of this you can draw lines to Spencer Carbery. Protas has come a long way since his days with the Hershey Bears in the 2020-2021 season under Carbs. Now that Carbery is at the helm in Washington, he's noted how much Protas has developed as a player. Big time. And Carbery, he acknowledged the young winger's hard work and coachability, emphasizing his commitment to improving in multiple areas, including nutrition, fitness, and on-ice skills. Those are all the things. And, sometimes people, they like nutrition, how much it factors in a lot. I'm here to tell you that you take a look at these guys, they are in impeccable condition because they hit the gym and they eat a very stringent diet. It is broccoli and chicken, and there's not a lot of Burger King and Pizza Hut in there. That if you want to be an elite player like what you see in the NHL and on the Capitals, you got to put the work in. But it's a transformative focus on scoring. One of the standout changes we've seen in Protas in his game is the focus on his shot. He's transformed from primarily a distributor to a legitimate goal scorer. So kind of fit the MO of the Capitals in previous years as well, is that oftentimes they were a pass first team versus a shoot first team. And I think that is what is helping out the Capitals this season. And, you take a look at what Protas did this season, the proof is in the pudding, as they say. Now, with 25 goals this season, he's on track to break his previous record of 31 goals set during his final junior season with Prince Albert Raiders. Now, if he keeps this pace up, and that is the hope anyway, he could hit 32 goals by the end of the season, putting him among the top under 25 skaters in the NHL, just behind some elite company. Maybe you've heard of Jack Hughes and Cole Caulfield. So in some elite company, and again, just this season, if you watched it, big jump this season, quite stunning. But a personal touch, and here's something interesting. Protas and his younger brother Ilya was in the stands at Cap 1 for the game. Ilya, a third-round draft pick by the Caps and currently tearing it up in the OHL with the Windsor Spitfires, has been doing great, tallying 108 points with 45 goals and 63 assists in just 57 games this season. So the Protas family, it is Aliaksei and at some point Ilya, that two brothers that really know how to get it done. And it's just getting back to the basics. It's being confident. It's putting in the work in the gym. It's the nutrition. It's becoming the best hockey player that you can possibly be, and it's paid off in dividends for Aliaksei and Ilya. So exciting times for the Capitals and Protas, and definitely a guy that stirs the drink for the Capitals on a night in, night out basis, and why I have this confidence in this year's roster and this organization that I have not had in the last couple of years. 2018 high water mark. After that, it's just like the team kind of has struggled trying to squeeze as much juice out of that Rock the Red era that we're kind of turning the page now. And this new wave, we're starting to see the new wave. It's not fully realized yet, but this newer wave of players has got me really excited. All right, so coming up here after the break, talking about the next wave and exciting players, Andrew Cristall, first in the WHL to 400 points in the 21st century. Can you believe it? I'll break it all down straight ahead. Looking to optimize your nutrition this year, Factor makes eating well easy with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals that are fresh, never frozen, and ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences every week, you can customize your meals to fit your lifestyle, whether it's Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Plus, Factory even offers wholesome smoothies, breakfast, and grab-and-go snacks to keep you fueled all day. And listen, life is busy sometimes. If you got kids at home, or say you're a person that's constantly on the go, sometimes it's hard to have the time to prepare meals, to go to the grocery store, and you don't want to eat out all the time. Well, make it that much easier with Factor. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50off and use code LockedOnNHL50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code LockedOnNHL50off at factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team every day. The best way that you can help grow the show is to subscribe to Locked On Capitals on YouTube and comment anything down below. So talking about the next wave and exciting players, there's a couple players that really have me excited about the future. We know Ryan Leonard is going to be here sooner than later, and that is, well, exciting, of course. But a player that is a bit of ways out, probably next season, is Andrew Cristall, a guy that was one of the last players cut from camp, and it was all about that entry-level deal. He couldn't play any more than, 9 or 10 games, and that would burn the entry. They did the right thing, because having him on the team for such a short window would not be what's best for Andrew Cristall. And having him on the team sitting in the press box, well, that wouldn't have been the right idea either. So for him to get in that extra work where he's at right now has paid off big time for Andrew Cristall and the Capitals. So let's dive into that in this final segment of the show, talking about Andrew Cristall and the WHL. This was a piece that I had seen here in the Daily Faceoff. Andrew Cristall, the talented prospect selected 40th overall by the Caps in the 2023 NHL draft, has etched his name in history. And what am I talking about? He's become the first player in the WHL to hit 400 career points in the 21st century. That's quite an accolade. That is quite an accomplishment. And he is, like I say, part of that next wave of Capitals players. It kind of boggles my mind. Next year, it's going to be Leonard. It's going to be Cristall. It's going to be whoever else is good to go. Widen the lens a little bit more than that. Cole Hudson, these kind of players. That this team, as good as it is right now, is going to be markedly better in years to come. He's become the first player to get that done. That milestone was achieved in a game where he notched 5 points, helping the Chiefs to an impressive 9 2 victory. And you think back on that trade between Kelowna and Spokane, that it was quite a deal. And some people say, who won that deal? Well, the Spokane Chiefs won that deal. I'm here to tell you. Let's break down his current season stats to kind of tell you what I'm talking about, how the Chiefs have benefited from this deal. Cristall has been on fire, racking up a staggering 121 points with 44 goals and 77 assists. That's something. Now, that puts him not only at the top of the WHL and scoring board, but 11 points clear of his closest competitor, Gavin McKenna from the Medicine Hat Tigers. So, it's one of the things that, of course, he's doing well at that level. Next year, if, say, for some reason he cannot make the Capitals for whatever reason, he could always play in the AHL for the Hershey Bears. He was too young to last year. That I think that he has, done what he can do down there. He is ready for the big time. But talking about his history, Cristall's journey through the WHL has included time, of course, with the Chiefs and the Rockets, and his overall career, which spans all of 242 games. He's notched an impressive 153 goals and 248 assists. Now, what's more impressive than all of that is that he's recorded 14 games with 4 points or more, including an amazing 7-point game. Now, can it be now? Can I push the now button? Can we have Andrew Cristall on this team right now, rocking into the playoffs with Cristall and Leonard? At least on paper, it has me feeling good. I don't know how well that would actually play out, but the feeling is all there. Believe that. Now, currently the Chiefs hold a solid record of 42, 18, 1-1, and sit second in the U.S. division. But Cristall's contributions will be crucial as they gear up for the playoffs, and it'll be thrilling to see how he continues to build on his phenomenal stats. And it's only going up. I mean, if you are an everydayer of the show, you know that I've talked about Andrew Cristall on the regular on this podcast, and it's this milestone and that milestone, and it's just like this next level talent that is kind of in the wrong place to play right now. It's good, good developmentally, but the way he's playing right now, he's bursting at the seams. That this guy needs to take it to the next level. My hunch is it will be next season. I would really like it to be the Capitals, but like I say, if it's not, it can be the Hershey Bears, and I'm super excited what lies ahead for Andrew Cristall. All right, once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, your only daily year-round podcast covering the Washington Capitals, and I want to thank all of you that listen on the audio side and watch this on YouTube. You are what makes this show successful. When you're done here, head on over to Locked On NHL, where they have you covered all NHL-wide, 5 days a week, available wherever you find your podcasts and on YouTube. All right, once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team. It is every day. My name is Dan Holme, and I'll talk to you again next time.